Hello and welcome back. It's time for Chit Chat with two T's. As usual, I am your host, counseling psychologist JL Valdez, and with me today is an extra special guest, as are all my guests, right? Mr. Muhammad Muwakil. Did I pronounce it properly?
I'm not going to do the clap around thing, and technically it's with one T because I have a Coke. But
this is technically coffee, so it's really no T's.
So no T's.
But
if you could spell Chit Chat with no T's.
But also,
go ahead.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you.
I was going to say it's a pleasure to be had, but I would sound weird.
Yeah, it would sound weird and raise some questions. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So on your Instagram profile, you have yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that means to you?
I think being an artist is just it's a way of viewing the world.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that everyone is an artist. I don't think that there's anyone who's not, or who at least wasn't born as an artist.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because it's just a unique way of seeing the world. And I think we were all born with our own eyes and our own way of seeing the world.
Mm-hmm.
But the one who becomes an adult and still maintains a unique view of the world and is able to look on things that look normal to everybody else,
mm-hmm.
but see something else in them, and most of the time see divinity in them, I think that's what an artist is. And
Wow.
that energy could manifest itself as anything from someone who is a bartender
mm-hmm.
to someone who is a musician or a writer or anything. Because like, you ever notice those viral videos, right? So like sometimes you see somebody making roti in India or ice cream
mm-hmm.
somewhere on the side of the road,
Yeah.
and thousands, millions of views because of the way that they do it.
Yeah.
And that person has invested that unique way of seeing the world into doing this very simple, mundane thing that hundreds of thousands of people do. But why is it that this one person is so different? And I think that's the artist, the thing inside you that sees the world in a different way.
Well, because I just, relegated it to singing, writing, poetry, dancing, none of which I could do well, by the way. Just want to put that out there.
I've seen people walk on this art.
Really?
Yeah. Because, so for, like, just take that example, right?
Yeah.
If nobody at any point, or that person didn't listen to people telling them, oh, you walk funny or whatever, but nobody criticized the way that they walk. So their walk just developed as they do, right? And then you never see somebody walking and you're like, yo, that's art. It's interesting. Your cameraman making a bid for his own walk.
You want an art walker? Look how always trying to come in this show. Anyway, well, he's an art walker. Anyway, well, that is interesting, and I hope that we delve more into that as we chat a little bit. But maybe today you could tell us about what's in your cup and why.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them any
say it.
kudos. I'm not. I'm ashamed at what is in my cup. In the words of Lil Wayne, though, what is in my cup?
It's in your cup. Well, they're gonna see it because it's clay.
I mean, it could be really dark Moby.
It could be.
I just made some Moby this morning, so.
Did you?
I brought my own Moby.
Are you a Moby lover?
I am not only a Moby lover, I'm a Moby maker.
Like do you?
From scratch.
With the bark and
bottle thing. Yeah.
People who drink Moby made from the bark are strong people. Have a strong constitution.
Yeah. I like my Moby like almost like medicine level.
Note to self, we will not be drinking Muhammad's Moby.
I mean, change your life.
I believe it. For better or for worse is the question. I have a French latte because I'm boring. Okay. But I decided to try. You all know I am a tea lover more than I am a coffee lover. But today we are at Santiago International Lounge. I here at Valpark Shopping Plaza. And it's nice to be here. We're experiencing the ambience. The French latte is French coffee, French vanilla coffee. It's pretty good. Has me wired already, apparently. So you can come in and check it out. So that's what's in your cup. Well, literally. What about figuratively? What's going on with you as an artist who sees the world through the dimensions that you do? I don't imagine that there's not a little bit going on. I imagine that there's a lot going on.
There's always a lot going on.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd have to be more specific in terms of what's going on, because a lot is always going on. I mean, I think the difficult thing and what separates the artist who is able to successfully translate what he or she sees into the world from the one who often struggles with it is getting help to order your mind and to order your process, because a lot is always going on. Once you start developing your own language in your head for the things that you see, everything gets translated You know what I mean? So you will look at a chair and you start getting ideas about the shape
Right.
and the texture of things, and
Mhm.
and that can just happen for anything at all. And so yeah, there's always a lot going on. There's
Okay.
always a lot going on. Right
Well-
now, specifically,
Specifically, what would you like to share with us about some of the a lot that is going on?
we've been working on an album for the last 3 years.
Okay.
It's called Beyond the Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we during the pandemic we started going down Marabella to this producer.
Because
big
salt
up
is great.
big up Ian Lee,
Mhm.
Silence.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He sent us. So we were working on an album in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and he sent me instrumental.
Okay.
And when I played it for Lou, he was like, "Yo, yes, can we get this on the album we're working on now?"
Mm.
And when we contacted Ian, he's like, "Nah, it's a group, it's a body of work.
Okay.
Is it you take all of it or you're
Or
not getting none of it?"
Yes.
And we were like, "Well, at least let's go hear it."
Yeah.
And when we did, it was sold. So over the next year, I would say next year and a half, we worked on creating a very beautiful body of work called Beyond the Machine
Okay.
that we're about to start rolling out very soon.
You excited?
I'm very excited.
Mhm.
I am trying to stay excited because, again, the thing is, as an artist, once I have made something,
Yeah.
I make that.
Right.
So I have already moved on in terms of process from the album. I'm
Right.
in creation. Where we are now is in the technical throes of
Right.
putting out the album, which
Mhm.
I love. I love it. It's great. It's
So
wonderful.
you keep saying we. You know who is we?
We
Mhm.
is a team of about 10 people,
Mhm.
to be honest. So it's myself, Lou, my manager,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody else that's involved in any technical process.
What's the name of your group?
Oh, I'm from a band called Freetown Collective.
You may have heard of it, guys. Little band, little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a band called Freetown.
Very popular. Mhm.
Yeah, but Freetown Collective isn't just the 6-piece band that you see on stage.
Right.
They're literally 8 other people, 10 other people behind
Mhm.
the scenes that make everything run. So big up the whole team, everybody from Nicolette to Ray to Lydia, everybody.
You have some amazing vocalists
I do.
with you.
I do.
Yeah.
Highly trained. 2 of them are actually classically trained. And the other
Wow.
one, I'd say she's spiritually trained.
So okay, because I was just gonna ask about auditions, but it's okay. I'll
You could ask
yeah.
them.
No, it's
Don't
all right
ask me.
because you said classically trained, and that
To
already
ask
threw me out
that's
there.
a dangerous question to ask me. Ask them. And it might be a dangerous question to ask them too.
And ask it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I value the little pride I have left.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you. I don't have any say in that.
So tell us about Freetown Collective. How did it start?
So, about 14 years ago now,
14.
we can start saying things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing spoken word.
Right?
I had just
One mic.
you need to bring him on the show.
He's the worst.
That's why
I have him.
Score.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing spoken word all over the place.
Mhm.
And I was traveling in a car with my little brothers and sisters. I'd pick them up every other weekend or
Mhm.
come and drop them to school. And they'll turn on the radio and start singing word for word what was on the
Mhm.
radio, right? Now they like my poetry, for sure. They'll come and they'll listen to stuff, but the poem's not sticking in their head.
Right.
They're not really interested in that.
Not the way the music would.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I got a guitar and started playing some music, and I did a one set of recordings
Mhm.
by my brother Enquiries, and I gave them a CD for their mom to play in the car.
Mhm.
And after about 2 weeks, they were singing all the songs word for word.
So you figured you had something good there.
I was like, well, that's the real estate I want.
Right.
As much as I love doing poetry, I
Yeah.
felt as though where I wanted to be and what I wanted to say, I wanted a wider platform.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't escape melody. So I was like, well, this might be something.
Mm-hmm.
And for maybe a year after that, I taught myself to play guitar. And then I wrote one specific song called Love Transition.
Mhm.
When I wrote that, Lou, who is the other founding member of the band, he heard the song and he was like, can I put a verse on the song? He put a verse on the song. We started playing at all the open mics. It was really good. We were
Mhm.
like, all right, maybe we have something. And then we wrote a second song called Mama Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And when we wrote Mama Africa and started performing those 2 songs together, we realized, okay, we have something.
Yeah.
And then about 3 months after that, we got an invitation to go to London. Yeah, with 2 songs. And obviously we said yes.
Wow.
They were like, I think they thought we had more music.
Maybe.
But we had a lot of poems. So
Okay.
we did like a joint set along with my
Okay.
brethren Keegan Maharaj.
Right.
And while we were in London, we were making more music. So by the time we were coming back home, we had about 6 songs.
Okay.
And we just said, you know what? This feels good. Let's give this a shot. And here we are, 15 years,
Wow.
14 years later, still giving it a shot.
How did we come up with the name?
Freetown Collective. So my girlfriend at the time, well, 2 years before I actually formed Freetown, she brought me this piece of information that was speaking about this place called Freetown, which was Belmont, right?
Okay.
And Gonzales and certain parts of Picton. There were some Africans who came over here in the mid 1800s, and they did not come as slaves. Or
Okay.
they were never enslaved. They came as indentured
Free.
workers. They had their own contracts and they had their own money.
Wow.
And just to think of it, right? That's an amazing thought. Like these people left from where they were to come to here, and in many ways that kind of still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Why did they come here? What?
They're here.
Right?
Yes.
And they were here in the middle of a post-slavery, but really still middle of slavery colony. And they set up their own village, and they set up their own, and they were trading, and they were doing all kinds of things, and they notably were buying other people's freedom. Those people would come and they would work in Freetown.
Wow.
Around that same time, history will record that there were people who were sending people back to Africa as well from here. So there was this whole movement going on there that I felt like it wasn't recorded. Here was this part of my history that I never learned about.
Well, I was just about to say I studied history for 7 years.
Yeah.
And never did that.
I'm in my mid-20s at this point.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So what kind of madness is that? And then I started looking around the neighborhood and I was like, well, what I see now can't be what these people intended, right?
Yeah.
I have a drug block like 4 blocks from me. Constant drug issues in the neighborhood, crime, all that. And while I was writing the music, I was thinking to myself, how do you get back to that place?
Yeah.
And obviously, in myself, I said, the first thing you have to do is journey there for yourself and figure out what that means to you.
Yeah.
Once you could have an idea of what it means to you, then you go to the next closest person, and that was Lou. I started to explain to him the concept of what I was trying to do, and through the music and whatever. And Lou is Rasta at the time, and he's just like, yeah, well, for sure, this is what I believe in as well.
Wow.
And we just kind of started moving towards that. And so the idea became that every single person who encountered what we did, they would in and of themselves become a free town, and they would be able to free other people in that same sense. So the information just keeps carrying on, whether we exist or not. So that was the whole point of calling it Freetown
Collective. That's deep.
I mean, if you're gonna start somewhere, but they start deep.
I mean,
keep drawing.
Exactly before the well runs dry, and hopefully it doesn't.
Nah, it won't.
Okay, so Lou is your friend. He was your friend before you all formed the band.
We have an interesting story. I met him in 2005 after open mic I was hosting, and when he came, he just blew my mind with his performance. And it was one of those moments in life where you met someone, and we set up talking all night. And I didn't know he was from Tobago. I didn't, we didn't exchange numbers or anything like that. And then he left. And I didn't see him again for about 4 years. Then I went to Tobago to perform. And after I'd finished performing, I was still doing spoken word. He came up and he put this Ethiopian cross around my neck. And he was like, use that guy. I was like, use that guy. And yeah, basically we've been inseparable since then.
Aww,
yeah.
Friends. So, what drew you to spoken word? And I'm coming to something with this, but what drew you to spoken word?
I was always writing. Ever since I was a child, I've been writing poetry. My mother gave me some books of when I was much younger, writing about monster under the bed and all kind of thing. And just from the time I was really young. And I think I come from a pretty articulate family as well. And my grandfather encouraged me to read from the time I was a little child. He used to subscribe to National Geographic.
Wow.
And I remember being very frustrated. I have this real vivid memory of being frustrated because I could see the pictures and I knew that these markings meant something.
Yeah.
But I couldn't decipher them. I didn't know what they were. And I remember that real clearly. Like I want to rip pages.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me that. He used to be like, I used to take the books to him and I could barely talk. And I'd be like, like, what is this?
Yes.
I know this is something.
Yeah.
What is this?
What it is.
So you have to read for me and so I think I always had that drive. My father always talks about me always asking so many questions, like he said one time I pointed at a lamppost and I asked him, what is that?
Yeah.
And he told me in a lamppost or whatever, and I was like pointing to the light and I was like, what is that? And he said, well, it's and he had to actually take me in the car and carry me to Power Gen to show me, like it just went and went and went. Because what I meant is how it worked.
Yeah.
And then I think at some point in my life, the question became, how does this work?
Right.
You know, in relation to this
Yeah.
and this and this, and how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been the question since then.
So you've always
So
had a
poetry
vivid
was
curiosity.
Yeah, and I think I ain't gonna get into it. But yeah, I think it's always been me just asking about purpose, about life, about God, you know. What is this all about? And poetry allows for that kind of deep introspection.
I remember being in UE. So we were in UE around the same time. And spoken word was experiencing this. It was very popular.
Yeah, we was doing it.
Yeah. It was everywhere. It was an open mic night. You know, they used to have, I think there was a period in time in UE itself, they used to have, you know, these shows. And I remember there was a particular piece that you were known for. I cannot remember the name of it, but there was something about if I were a fly.
Oh my God.
I wished I was trying to remember what the words were. But I knew that the woman swooned when they heard it.
Yeah, so funny thing about that piece, right? At the time, I felt like, well, one, the piece came from a very pure place, right? It was somebody that I saw at the time, and I just had this thought, and I was sitting down in Mario's and actually just wrote out this whole
Little
piece,
Mario's.
Right? But also, at the time, I felt like all of us was so serious and political.
Yeah.
There was no aspect of the thing that was like love or funny or whatever. Everybody was like
very deep
on it.
Yeah.
Really burn out the system and whatever. And I just felt like, you know, as one of the people who had kind of pioneered the vibes and was starting the vibes, I was like, because I don't feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
And I started to realize everybody was coming up and kind of sounding angry.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that was actually a critique that some people from the outside had.
Yeah.
That, you know, and I know that it wasn't that we were angry. People just didn't understand this was also love. But let's express it in a different way. So that poem for me was the beginning of pushing in another space.
Okay.
And it changed everything, I think. Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do remember it.
Are you gonna say it?
The whole poem? No. I am not going to say the poem.
I'm just saying, I just remember. Wait. Ricardo said we don't have the budget for it.
For my manager. Karen!
When you go to London and you perform it, just remember I put that back in you. And remember, I brought it back to the surface.
The poem is also nearly 4 minutes long. You don't want me to say don't get for 4 minutes and recite that poem. You gotta edit it out. And then
no, we'll never edit it out. Never, ever.
Oh, come on.
Never.
They don't want to.
Listen.
Just go on YouTube and type in Muhammad Muwakil and all kind of things will come up, and eventually you'll find it poem.
Ricardo will bring it up. You'll find it. He'll put it in the. He will find it and he'll put it into this episode.
You see me there, many less the gray hair.
Yeah, wow. For real.
No locks.
What a time.
What?
To be alive. Right. So you spoke about, obviously your family seems to be very important to you. Yeah. And you spoke about your grandfather. Is he still alive?
No, he died in 2004.
Okay. But your grandmother is.
Very much alive.
And she has a social presence.
Yeah, but that's my fault. I did that. I take all the blame.
Tell us about your relationship with your granny. Is it your maternal grandmother or your paternal grandmother?
That is my maternal grandmother.
Okay.
Who thinks that I am her son.
Right. I think she knows what she knows.
Yeah. So my grandmother, back in the day, was trying to have a baby boy.
Yeah.
She didn't have a name for her first child because she thought it was a boy.
Yeah.
And called the child Elizabeth after the queen. And then second child, same thing, didn't have a name because she thought it was a boy. And that was my mother, and called her Margaret after the princess.
Yeah.
And then third child, and no boys came. Then my mom came and had a girl, my aunt came and had a girl, and then I was born, and then there were 2 more girls.
Okay.
So I was the only boy for like 2 generations.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the story of me and my grandmother. She snatched me up after that.
Basically.
And it's been an interesting ride with her because we're very opposite in nature in a lot of things.
Okay.
But me putting her up on social media was a couple things. I started to feel as though, you know, I have these nieces and nephews who are very young, and they're not going to remember her the way I remember her.
Yeah.
You know? I started putting her up on my social media first, and she started to cannibalize my social media. People were messaging me and like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Where's Granny?
Yeah.
I'm like, you all realize this is my
mine.
page, right? Get it off my page.
Get off. So
I formed her own page, and it's been, I mean, I knew that she would be attractive to other people. I knew that it would, but I didn't think it would be this.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, it's crazy. But, you know.
And I think people like how much she loves you because she said she's going to haunt the woman who breaks your heart. That's you know, if that is not love, what is?
I don't, is
She's passionate.
Yeah.
She's protective. She's fiercely protective.
She's a mess.
Yeah.
But also, like, for me, one of the big things and one of the reasons that I put it up is because I think there are a lot of older people who are neglected.
Yeah.
I think they get to this point in their life and people don't realize that what you have in front of you is this big wealth of experience and knowledge and a human being that still has dreams and desires and all these things.
We tend to discard them.
They reach 80 and they're like, oh, then when I'm dead just now.
Yeah.
Literally, that seems to be the thought.
Yep.
And it's not fair. It's not fair, you know. So I really have kind of prioritized putting her squarely back in that space for people to remember that they exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, it's been a beautiful process. A lot of people who lost their grandmothers, they come on the page and they say, oh, thank you for sharing this because I lost my grandmother and, you know, and this and that. So she really has become everybody's granny.
So you don't mind sharing?
No, please take her. Take more. Please. Take her out.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be one person she's willing to haunt other people for. So at least you'll have that special place.
Might be surprised. We don't know the capacity of ghosts.
This is true. So you said earlier in terms of you always have a lot going on. Yeah. When you think about what you do and what you experience, and then because you still live here in Trinidad and Tobago, and that's a choice, it's an active choice that you've made. Yeah.
I mean, yes.
So what upsets you in terms of being in Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of your artistry, your expression, your creative expression, anything at all? What boils your water? What are your pet peeves?
Wow. Where to even start?
4 minutes, let's go.
My pet peeves. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is that we could be living in paradise. Meaning, a lot of the things that we complain about, the roads, all this stuff, is not it. It hasn't been because we are a poor country,
right?
But there's a paucity of vision, right? We have so much, and yet it seems that, like everywhere else in the world, obviously, greed has caused us to become this place where just the basic amenities, people shouldn't be worrying about certain things in Trinidad at all.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, really, we really shouldn't have to. But it doesn't seem as though there's genuine care for the place. And I think that's because, coming from where we come from, we haven't really claimed Trinidad as our own yet.
No, we still think that foreign is better. Yeah, we're just here in the in-between, in the interim.
No, we are foreign better, but we just haven't claimed the place. You know, our national pride is kind of convoluted and weird. There's a kind of football harmony thing we just began on with, like, you know, if the side winning, then we there with it. But
train to the bone.
Yeah. As I think about it, like, I wouldn't litter in my living room.
Yeah.
This place is my place.
Yeah.
I would never just walk somewhere and drop something on the floor in Trinidad because this is my country. Trinidad and Tobago is where I come from. But clearly there isn't an understanding of that number. It seems so simple to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a fundamental misunderstanding. We're not sure what we're trying to make yet.
Yeah.
So, like, and I'm not blaming us because it takes a while. Forming a nation is a centuries-long process.
And we're still very young.
We beyond young. You know what I mean? We haven't really woken up to realize where we are in the world. And we are in a world that's changing so quickly. At the same time with us trying to realize where our position is in the world. You know what I mean? But we need to figure out, when a child is born, enters into kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, tertiary education, through that pipeline, what do you want to come out on the other end? And then we also need to figure out, for those who are born but can't go through that process, what is he trying to do with everyone? There needs to be a plan. So on the other end of it, what are the values we're trying to have on the other end of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're not talking about religion here. And we're not necessarily talking about specific philosophies, just general humanity.
Yeah.
We're trying to create work ethic, all these ways of seeing the world.
What's your legacy you want to leave?
Yeah, but we're not, because we're so cosmopolitan in that sense and we're so mixed, we're not one tribe yet.
Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, but it's going to take a couple centuries.
Yeah.
And if we're still around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's why the music is important. That's
Yeah.
why the art is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are gathering emotional moments,
Mm-hmm.
right? The historians will tell you what happened at what time.
Yeah.
And we will tell you how we felt at what time.
That's beautiful.
And that's real important.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, we gather in the histories, and the generations to come, they will look back and they will take what was relevant and what is valuable to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, yes, this is a part of me. And they'll say, no, this is not a part of me. And 200 years from now, 300 years from now, a Trinidadian will be something really specific, hopefully, you know, but still open-minded. Mm-hmm. But it'll be something in the world that we could look on and say, you know, really say in a way, I'm proud to be a Trinidadian, a Trinbagonian.
So a lack of ownership and a lack of national pride, so to speak.
Yeah.
What else?
That's a major thing. I think if we, I feel like if we cure that, we cure everything, because all the vestiges of that thing are what the problems are, right? Like dealing with the police as first responders who are not getting the right training.
Nope.
And they're mixed up in a space that is already corrupt. So you have people coming in and they have high hopes, and then boom, they meet the corruption, and then eventually a lot of them become corrupt. And all of these things are just symptoms of that particular thing. Mm-hmm. But if we know who we want to be, and we all have a sense of it, then we will all move towards that.
Is that kind of where that can you feel the love, the sentiment of that, is that where that came from?
Yeah, can you feel the love? Feel the love is actually
feel the love,
Bob Marley's Natural Mystic.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob say there's a natural mystic blowing through the air, right? The whole quote is actually, they say with age comes wisdom, but there's a natural mystic blowing through the air. Mm-hmm. And what Bob meant is that there's something that we all can access. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get old to become wise. Mm-hmm. The experience of it is something else. Mm-hmm. But you can access certain things. You can download whatever, as the new thing is, right? Everybody getting downloads. Yeah. And Can You Feel the Love was me asking the same question. There's a thing about us. Yeah. It around at carnival time we tend to feel it in certain spaces. We tend to feel it more, right? In the palais and in the gaels and in these different spaces, and when we come together as family, we tend to feel it. There seems to be a easier access to a higher self, a self that isn't trying to fight, a self that will go out of the way to help a stranger. Yeah, we have that here. We have it. We do. And the question really was, are you present? You feel that? You know what I mean? You're feeling it. Yeah. You know, so that's what that was. And in terms of your music, so is it always with the particular aim to have that sense for people to be able to claim what is ours, to feel that pull in terms of each other's brothers and sisters, or is it just, as you said before, to ensure that as history goes on, we can record how we feel at a particular time? Yeah. When like if you took a basic course in, like, let's say, massaging somebody, right? They'll always tell you that the pain doesn't come from necessarily the same spot. Yeah. So if your back is hurting you, it might be because you have weak ankles. Right. It might be because, if your neck hurting you. And I think awakening is just like that. As an artist, you're able, or you should be thinking about aiming at different points and showing people in different ways. What about this here? All right, it might be your foot, Yeah. It might be your thigh, It might be your brain, Yeah. It might be. And you try to balance yourself and balance your message in a way that people can get these different messages. So I want you to dance. Yeah. And while you're dancing, I might say something, just a little thing in there that make you realize, there's not just dancing. I want you to think. Yeah. And while you're thinking, I'll say something in there that you might smile about, and constantly kind of calling the best parts of you to the surface. For me, that's what it is. Yeah. And if you listen to it enough, I mean, like, if you spend your life just listening to Buju alone, I think if you really take him in, you can become a very balanced human being. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing with the music. I think that's excellent. And so you're not just doing that here in this space, you're doing that internationally. I think there are a lot of parents still, because we're in in between place in terms of all the generations, who still think it's about science and
It's about science and it's about business, right? And quote unquote real jobs. But you are a full-time artist, right? And that comes with some of the mainstream things as well in terms of knowing business and all of that. But would you encourage people, more young people, to be fully engaged in whatever their artistry is?
I believe in grand design, right? So the grand designer,
Yeah.
if he, she, it, they wanted us to be, cookie cutter, whatever, then we all would have just been like little white boxes.
That's it.
Just whatever, right? Very plain, very, but we're not. For some reason, whatever made each and every single one of us completely unique. That's not an accident, right?
Yeah.
To take the time for billions and billions of human beings over all these centuries, and eras, whatever, right? To be completely unique. And then you have a child and you trying to deny this existence. That's not, Khalil Gibran say your children are not your children, right? They are a manifestation of life's longing for itself.
Correct.
Like, you have a child and you trying to take this being, this part of God itself,
and make it,
and tell this being, let me tell you
what you have to do,
how to traverse this place.
Yeah.
That if I honest with my own self, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, now that I am as old as my parents were, now that I have passed that age, I know. You don't know.
We don't know.
But what I know that they try to do is they're trying to make you safe.
Yeah.
You cannot make anybody safe. Because if you could, you make yourself safe.
Yeah.
You're not safe neither.
So we don't know.
But also, more than all of that is, you do not know what you are denying the world. Can you imagine how many times the world has been denied a Bob Marley? Or denied a Marcus Garvey? Or denied because a parent literally forced a child to the edge. And beat themselves out of them. Like, beat themselves out of the child. So many of us later on in life, we have to come back to this point of self-acceptance. When I born accepting myself, and then you basically tell me, nah. And then I get old enough. Now I had to go through a period where I don't like you, I fight in you, I hate you, this, that, I move away from you. I find myself, when I find myself, I come back, I don't blame you no more. I had to go through that.
And then some of us never get to come back and tell you that. We don't get to have that forgiveness part of it because we don't control when we leave.
My same grandmother who loved me so much fight me tooth and nail because I left engineering to do this.
Well, I was just going to ask you, because you were in UE. What were you doing?
And I was like, nah, this is not for me. And I walked out of our engineering class and left everything in the class. And I went and just lounge around UE for a year. I formed UE Speak at the time.
Right, UE Speak.
Started doing more stuff. It gave me a lot of time to do spoken word. And then I went in theater and then, but I was finding myself. Right? And if someone had come and just put a real heavy hand on me, I mean, I'm not that one. I'm not the one, but if I was the one who put a heavy hand on, and you break my spirit and I just become an engineer, I'm trying to imagine,
Can't even think about that life.
I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I've been a part of a lot of things that have changed a lot of other people's existence too. That's been a blessing that I've been allowed to be a part of. And there's so many people I see that, like, it's insane. So leave the children them alone. Like, they are the closest thing. They're the closest thing to God. You're
true, very true.
God. Leave them alone.
So if you were approached by government to be a consultant in terms of like, we're trying to figure out how we can encourage this sort of creativity in children from a young age, maybe even as young as, primary school, preschool, would you be open to being involved in that?
Destroy the school curriculum. Break it down from its bedrock. Because again, it is one of the vestiges of colonialism that we just clinging on to. Thank you for removing the Columbus ships. Now remove the school system. That's really where it is. Because until they begin to really recognize multiple intelligences and actually search for it, not just wait until it manifests itself, but like develop programs that search for it. What is this person like? Okay, let's prioritize that in their life. Let's begin to kind of stream the children, but also don't just stream them, just gently do it. Wait to see where they go. Give them the first 10 years of their life to just be. You know what I mean? But this idea of testing and testing as intelligence, is just madness now.
Yeah, standardized
Like,
testing.
Standardized testing.
Yep.
We know, like we have known for at least 4 or 5 decades, this shit don't work.
It's not working.
But
Yeah.
people still beating the children for getting B's.
Yeah, for bees.
For B's.
And
You
we
know
know
what I
that some children don't test well. So it really isn't.
Most children don't test well.
It's really not a
Children
true
don't
indication.
test well. Most
Yeah.
times what that is you work well under trauma and you are willing to be broken and listen to your
Yeah.
parents because you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Most people. And then you develop some sort of thing where you take pleasure in the pain of it, and now you are a high achiever.
We are still dealing with residual effects of slavery to this day.
Listen, school had nothing to do with what you learn in school.
Yeah.
School is how you teach a being that was meant to be completely free how to sit in the same place for 8 hours.
How you live in life.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But anyway, yes, I would consult with them.
All right. Okay, government of Trinidad and Tobago. Pay attention.
Nah, we done there.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. All right.
No, be
Yeah.
sorry. You know yourself. Big up you.
Big up you. And make sure that you'll have plenty more like him coming up. Thanks. So, dealing with a lot, managing a lot is going on in your creative space. How is your mental health?
Some days I am wonderful, and some days I am in the bin, the garbage bin. And that's something that people don't ask. And something that is as artists, especially artists who depend on their art for their living.
Yeah.
Which means in some ways depending on public opinion.
Yeah.
for your living.
Ooh.
You know, which is something that a lot of artists won't even admit.
Yeah.
Right? While at the same time not dependent on public opinion.
Yeah.
Because to truly do that is to destroy your art. So it's this real terrible balance in space of I see you all like I know I want to give all it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I could give enough of myself that I don't lose myself and lose the message, but also get y'all a little sprinkle up.
Yeah.
Let me see, you know? Yeah, mental health is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough because I am being asked every day to go out to the edges of myself, gather things, and come back and make something useful. And when I go to the edges on the journey from where I am and where I feel comfortable in life, not facing everything and whatever, and I wake up and I stretch and I go, all right, I'm going to write a song about love. I'm going to write a song about loss. I'm going to write a song. I have to walk through all of my lost loves. I have to walk through all of my losses to get to the point where I know I have to gather
And bring back.
and feel, right? And I am being asked to make that journey every day, right? And that's not easy for someone's mental health. And not only am I being asked to do that, but when I do it, I'm being asked now to take these manifestations of that journey and perform them for people
Repeatedly.
with passion, with memory, showing you that I feel in it,
Yeah.
so that you could feel it too.
Because if you don't feel it,
Nobody,
we're not feeling it.
right? And when you feel it too, and you have an emotional reaction to it, and you try to get onto me, or you view me in a certain way, which might be more than human, now also having to deal with you, and you seeing me in public, and throwing your emotional things onto me, or hugging me and crying, or wanting me to introduce me to your family, or all these things, right? Which is all part and parcel. You can't go and mess with human emotion and not expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But
The connectedness that they feel.
And you asking for that. Like the highest forms of art, they do that, right?
Yeah.
So mental health is a thing that most artists, the artists, right? Because you could take another route and you could just go, this is what people want, and I'm gonna make that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna dwindle the amount of emotional connection will dwindle. And I guess it just depends on what you're aiming for. So if you just want fame, then
You could do that.
you could do that and you have a lot less of that. But artists, somebody that is invested in their people, our mental health, I mean, most of us, we struggle. And me personally, I struggle. I struggle a lot. I go up and down and I try to keep it, you know?
Yeah.
A little ashwagandha, a little marijuana.
Ashwagandha, that's it, a little marijuana.
Ashwagandha is the truth.
It is. It is. I have a lot of clients who, with anxiety, they say ashwagandha is.
I didn't know until at least about 3 months ago. I got the liquid.
Okay.
And I started taking a few teaspoons in water at night. And then a little bit in the morning when I wake up. I'm not arguing with nobody.
You're so calm.
Ashwagandha. My brothers and sisters.
Gospel truth.
Ashwagandha.
Yes.
Meditate for like a little 5 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
Try and get your workout.
Yes.
And it helps, but it doesn't stop that there are days where, like I said, you wake up and you know you have to go out and search for this thing. And you don't know where you're gonna bounce up. You don't know which part of yourself gonna be waiting on the road to that song or that drawing or whatever.
How do you come back from that when you go to the edges and it takes you somewhere that maybe you haven't visited in a while or somewhere where you've avoided? How do you manage that? How do you come back from that and not be lost?
That's a good question. There probably are a few ways, huh? You have to kind of know how to pull the plug. Right? I have been blessed with the type of sleep that when I sleep and I wake up, whatever I was going through the night before,
gone.
It's not foremost in my mind.
Right.
It obviously there's somewhere, but it's not foremost. So I'm grateful for that because I can't imagine carrying.
And you're not really resting.
Right? But I think I had to know how to pull the plug. Water is a big thing for me. Going to the sea, sitting down in silence, coming off of social media.
That's a big one.
Sitting in silence and just letting your brain kind of defrag. And remove all the shit from it. But also having people that you trust that you could talk to. This is where
super important.
Yeah, because sometimes just talking it out, it goes, or somebody will just say to you, yeah, but you know that's not true.
Right.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Or they will remind you of who you are. Or you know, sometimes going over your old work. Sometimes going on social media and reading the comments on some of your posts too. Sometimes go back and look at your videos or just think about the fact that you've done stuff with your life. You know what I mean?
Evidence. You have evidence. I tell a lot of my clients about that.
Is that you reunion going on here or some kind of thing? What you seen? I seen Demon come in.
Random. I don't know who that is. Anywho's I tell my clients, you know, when you're a lot of the times anxiety comes from uncertainty and not being able to control. Right? And so sometimes we have these irrational beliefs about ourselves, you know, and most of the times they're negative. So you have to go back and look at what happened before. Do you have proof of the bad thing? Most times you have proof of the good things. You have evidence of the good things and you have to look at that. So your past work, the comments that people have said about your work. Internationally, you all seem to be well received. How does that work in terms of not trying to go too much into what an international feel might be like away from the Trinidad and Tobagonianness, if that makes sense? Because you do represent us, right? You all are from here. I mean, that's not your aim. You're not going out there to do that, but you're doing it regardless. You're ambassadors, right? I don't think, apart from soca, per se we have a particular sound, but people have now identified your sound and they may identify that with us. How does it feel knowing that people know, okay, this is Freetown? And also, we're from Trinidad and Tobago and we're doing this.
When we went to London the first time, we realized that there was this huge gap. People didn't have music that was speaking to them on a deep emotional level from home. So they were relying a lot on reggae to some extent.
Right.
But reggae also has kind of become very specific in what it attacks on the topic, right?
Yeah.
And the way that it deals with things. And that has to do with the Jamaican aesthetic and all that kind of things, right? So we realized that there was this big gap in terms of how people really feel about the music and how they interact with the music. Because soca fills a niche.
Yeah.
Soca is now, I would even say, carnival music. It's festival music.
It's festival music.
It's very specific because carnival is a wide thing. And soca doesn't deal with all the aspects of it. It deals with one very specific aspect. I don't ever want to make festival music because my people are in pain, my people cry, my people laugh, my people have children, my people go through a lot of things. And I want to be able to create music that touches all of those things. And when we went away, we realized when we went to London the first time, sat in a living room with some Trinidadians, with some Caribbean people in the diaspora, and realized that we were able to provide something, even in those early days, that they didn't have. And they expressed that much. They were like, we never knew this music was coming from home.
You see?
And every time we go out, it's the same thing. People come, and when they come for the first time, they're like, we didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know, you know? And for me, it's just setting the precedent for those to come that it's okay to express yourself in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
Because we've had Andre Tanker.
Right.
And we've had Shorty.
Yeah.
And we had Nappy Myers.
Yep.
And we've had Ataclan.
Yeah.
And we've had, right? But now we have a very kind of singular demographic.
Yeah.
And every now and then you'll hear someone like voice do a song that really taps into something else.
Yes.
But generally speaking,
festival music.
what Maximus Dan say, they want to grind, they want to wine. If I'm not doing that, I am wasting time. Yeah.
And they were whining and grinding to that, not hearing what he was saying.
Bunny, so like,
yeah.
You know, and that's real.
Yeah.
Because when we got Feel the Love, and all of a sudden in one season, 5 performances a day.
Yeah.
Fete here and wherever.
Yeah.
And you realize the success that soca could bring, right?
Yeah.
The success.
Yeah.
You realize why so many people might just
go on the soca trip,
discard that part of themselves. Because now I could travel all over, I could whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to have access to those places. It feels very good. It feels like a verification, you know, from those people. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to come from a little dot.
Yeah.
And me jumping all over the place.
I love that for you.
I love that
us
for me too.
as a people.
I love that for we.
I love that for we. So do you think that there needs to be like a specific mental health support for creatives?
I mean, I wish there was. You know, mental health help is expensive.
Yeah.
And most of the time it needs to be sustained over a long period in order to really have the effect that it needs to have. And a lot of creatives simply can't afford it. This is just the reality, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we far from there. We don't even see mental health as a serious problem. We still looking at people that we can call them mad people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When that person is probably 15 sessions away from being able to, and you know, some prescribed drugs,
medication,
from being a normal functioning, high functioning citizen and a valuable asset. Probably one of the more valuable ones, right? Because they say only the strong break, right?
Correct.
You know, it's like, you know.
What's something to think about?
It is something to think about. It is something to think about.
It is something to think about. Hey, Dr. Tracy.
I sure she's thinking about it. Why are you calling up my friend name on camera?
Because she's my friend too.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry that we don't share birthdays, but you know, there's still a love there.
Wow.
Big up to Dr. Tracy, who's storming our session today. Remember her from the very first season, so it's nice to see you in real life, Dr. Tracy. Yeah, episode 2, right? Wasn't it episode 1? No, you were episode 1. Right, that's true. Episode 2, right? Yeah, you see, you have to come and say hi to the people. They want to see what you're looking like a couple years later, right? So, but yeah, I also think that just what you're doing is healing in and of itself.
I hope so.
Yeah, we're really grateful for that. I mean, music in general, I've always felt is that pathway to connecting people to themselves. Because sometimes you don't have the words. Sometimes you're not sure what you're experiencing and you can't really express it, but you will play a song or a song will play on your radio or come up on YouTube and you'll be like, this is it. This is exactly what I feel, right? I'll never forget being in UE and dealing with heartbreak and feeling like Adele had read my journal and written all her music about using my material. She owes me money. Anyway, so, but I think a lot of people can reach and truly identify in that way. And then sometimes we have music that not only resonates with us, but that can help us out of that, you know? And so we love something that makes us feel something that is, we can't put our finger on it, but we know this is what we need to come out of this space. And I think that Feel the Love was that for a lot of people. And I think that was something, part of the drive behind it. We're not too sure exactly what this is, but we know we need it right now. You know?
Yeah.
It reached so many people, different generations. Like when I heard my mom sing it, I was like, what's happening? Oh, you know this song? And she told me somebody plays on I-95.5 because and she heard it and fell in love.
Yeah.
You know?
I would, if every 25 songs that I conceive, you could have one song like that.
Yeah.
Maybe every 100. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's more valuable to me than songs that just keep you in the space.
Yeah.
You know? It'll play in the party type songs.
Yeah.
But again, that's a big statement in a way for artists to make if you're living off your music.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want music that just kind of bubbling in the space. But
you need both.
You know, I heard Buju say in an interview, he said if the music's supposed to live forever, why are we having these songs you forgetting in a year or 2 years?
Yeah.
I don't want to strive to create that.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to be in a place where I put so much pressure on myself that I'm not, you know, I don't want to put anything out because I feel like, right? You have to just create.
It's a tightrope that you walk all the time.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we owe it to our people to try to present our best to them.
We owe it to our people to try to present our best to them. I want to thank you for being with us today and sharing. It was way more than I could have hoped for. I'm so grateful for you making the time to be with us, and I know our viewers and listeners will be too. How do we find you?
Cannot find me.
But if we wanted to send a message,
don't look for me. But if you want to find Freetown, go to @wearefreetown on Instagram, Freetown Collective on Facebook. For bookings, book wearefreetown@gmail.com. But over that, I go find you, you know.
So if you'd like to find Freetown Collective,
don't look for me.
Right? You got the information.
I don't know what you find, man. Too much people finding me. Right?
Oh, okay. Sounds like a conversation we need to have.
I mean.
And thank you to Kevin Humphrey for helping us connect with our guest.
Oh, right.
Right?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot that's how we connected. Big up, Kevin.
Big up, Kevin. Big up to Santiago International Lounge. Thank you so much for having us. My French vanilla was really, really good. So thank you for that and for allowing us to be in this beautiful space. Guys, come and check out Santiago International Lounge, right? Valpark Shopping Plaza, upstairs Mario's, straight to the end. All right, it's going to be great. And thank you to our Stoma, and thank you to our producer, Ricardo. Really, really appreciate everybody. Ronaldo, thank you for taking good care of us here at Santiago. We appreciate it. And so we could book say Freetown Collective.
Book wearefreetown@gmail.
Wearefreetown@gmail. All right. So is there anything that you want to share with the people before we close? Anything more?
Yeah, we're not here by mistake. And I think once you come to a certain point in your life, it is incumbent on you to try to figure out what you doing here. What you doing here?
Yeah.
And it can't be that you're here just to take care of other people and just to work and get a paycheck and go through maybe that could be why you're here. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
And
it's not just that.
And if you are feeling as though you are in a place where there's something more that you want to do, and for whatever reason you feel as though you can't break out of where you are, just incrementally, it could be the smallest thing. You know what I mean? You feel like you could paint, just go and walk in an art supply store.
Yeah.
Don't even go but just go and walk in the store. You know? Just forget that. Just Google painting. Just take the smallest possible step towards who you think you might be. The smallest step.
Yeah.
You understand? There's an art exhibition on. You never went to one before. Just go and just walk around. Feel what that's like. Allow that energy to infuse you in some way. You know what I mean? If you want to be something, try to be around people who are that.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier. You know what I mean? Because without that, you can't see the path.
Yeah.
You don't understand how it's even possible for a human being to achieve it. You know, but let's say impossible is our opinion, right? So, yeah.
I'm going to take that. It is incumbent upon you to find out what you're doing here, right? And impossible is an opinion. I don't think there's anything else we could say.
Nah.
There's a day.
Don't look
Right?
for him.
Don't look for him. Hashtag don't look for him. All right. So thank you again, Mohammed, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you, listeners and viewers. We appreciate having you here with us today. Right? Make sure and continue, right, to spread mental health awareness. It is so important. We need it. Our artists, it's important for them too. So if it's important for them, it had to be important for you. Right? So until next time, take care and be good to yourselves. And see.
Yeah.
Yay! Did it!
Truth be told, I know the soft look and tender touch that gives way to shivers on cold nights turned warm, but I can't tell you. And I know what it feels like to ride a wave of ecstasy until it crashes on earthly pleasure showers, leaving you battered and bruised and smiling, but I can't tell you. And I know what it feel like to have 1,002 butterflies take turns tickling my stomach, trying to make me throw up while I talking to her, but I can't tell you. And I know what it feel like to feel like a stalker, because every day you see her, and you make a point of coincidentally being there of course being wherever she happened to be at the point in time, till you could tell the time by her, and you hope it's fine by her that you'd much rather stand with her, but since she don't even know you just yet, then you'll just stand by her.